WDEV and 107.3 FM W297CL Levittown.
This is the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session, presented by SEPTA, a weekly recap of your 2024 Phillies, broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's. Tonight's show is brought to you by Team Toyota, BCWSA, The Capitol Grill, Independence Blue Cross, and SEPTA. Now, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Mickey Morandini.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear us? We're at Chickies and Pete's on Shannondale Road. I always call it Audubon, PA, but I think officially, if you look it up, it's Eagleville. And we're talking Phillies baseball tonight on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session, presented by SEPTA. And you know that I spend the first 5 or 10 minutes talking about my co-host and our esteemed guest. Our co-host is one of the most popular Phillies baseball players of all time. And he's currently an ambassador for the team. He's getting ready for a big London trip. Aren't you?
I am.
And tonight he's accompanied by his beautiful wife, Peg. Peg Morandini is right over there.
All right, Peg.
Now, Peg's husband is a 1995 National League All-Star who played 9 of his 11 Major League seasons with our Phillies. How about those Phillies? And a member of the 1993 National League champions. He ranks 4th in Phillies history in games played at second base. He was the recipient of the Paul Owens Award in 1989 as the best player in the Phillies minor league system. Mickey was originally selected by the Phillies in the 5th round of the June 1988 draft out of Indiana University. As an amateur, he won a gold medal as a member of the 1988 United States Olympic baseball team. Ladies and gentlemen, number 12, second baseman, Mickey Morandini.
Thank you, Dan.
That will never get old.
No, it doesn't.
God,
it?
Never.
It doesn't
That
for
is
me
unbelievable.
either, Mike. And boy, we have, for the first time tonight on our show, Mike Costanzo. Now, it's going to take me a little bit of a time to tell you, but this wonderful person's story deserves to be told. And where do you hear it? It's a real success story. He led Archbishop Carroll High School of Radnor. I passed Radnor High, Mike, on the way out. Mike Costanzo led Archbishop Carroll to 3 Catholic League championships in 4 years: 1999, 2001, and 2002. And, of course, the Philadelphia Catholic League is one of the best leagues for baseball in the tri-state area. Mike, did I also have the pleasure of announcing you in the Carpenter Cup?
Yeah, at the Vet.
At the Vet,
Yes.
right. As I did with Mike Piazza and a few others in this area, Mickey, like Mike Trout. So you're in some pretty good company. Now listen to this. After high school, as if 3 Catholic League championships in 4 years wasn't enough, he was a first-team All-American at Coastal Carolina in 2004 and 2005, and he was the Big South Player of the Year both years. That's quite an accomplishment there. Listen to this. In 2005, in the June amateur draft, and I'm saying this clearly because I know Mr. and Mrs. Costanzo are listening. So I want you to hear
Big
this.
shout out to Mom and Dad.
And,
Thanks, Dan.
They're wonderful people. And anyway, Mike Costanzo, first pick in the 2005 June Amateur Draft. Now, that was in the second round, 65th pick overall, as the Phillies forfeited their first pick in the draft that year, Mickey, because they signed John Lieber, who had a couple of good years as a member of the Phillies starting rotation. Now, while a member of the Phillies farm system, listen to his numbers in 2007 at Reading. 282 batting average, 27 home runs, among the most, not the most, but among probably in the top 10 home runs for a year in Reading history. 87 RBI. Man, this guy, one of the best hitters ever to come out of the high school ranks in Philadelphia, very highly thought of. So highly thought of that Houston demanded him in a trade when the Phillies sought a closer to help them win the whole thing, which they did. A closer by the name of Brad Lidge. This fella right here, Mike Costanzo, along with Michael Bourne and Jeff Geary, were traded to Houston. Ed Wade was the general manager there by now. He knew the value of this guy and Michael Bourne, and demanded that Mike Costanzo, Lauren, be included. So it was the trade was for Brad Lidge and a player to be named later, who is a second baseman, infielder, who, like Mickey, turned an unassisted triple play. Not before Mickey. Mickey came first. But Eric Bruntlett scored the winning run in the 2008 World Series. We owe all of this to Mike Costanzo.
Thanks, Dan.
Wait a minute. I'm not done with this story. I got more. Listen to this, 34 days after Houston acquired him, they traded him to the Baltimore Orioles for Miguel Tejada, one of the best long ball hitters ever to play shortstop in baseball. Mike played for Team Italy in 2009 and 2013. In 2010, and the way these things all come together is just so amazing. As Mike and I were saying to each other in our phone conversation when he was kind enough to share me his background, and boy, he keeps on raving about you, Lauren, as Mickey does about Peg. But it's so nice to hear, to hear that. So he played for David Bell, who loved him, and recommended that the Reds bring him up. And don't you know it, in 2012, listen closely, Hall of Fame third baseman Scott Rowland gets hurt. Who do they bring up? Mike Costanzo to the Cincinnati Reds. My last note is that Mike played for next week's guest on the Bull Session, Chris Widger, out of Pennsville High School in South Jersey. Chris played for several American League teams, New York Yankees, Baltimore Orioles, Cleveland Indians, now the Guardians.
Yep.
And but Chris was the manager of the Camden River Sharks when in 2015, after back surgery,
Yes.
Mike Costanzo played for the River Sharks. So how about that? Would you realize that all of the connections there to the Phillies, and anyway, it sure makes him a highly desired guest. And Mike Costanzo, we're glad to have you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I want to show. I have to show you and Mickey something and ask you guys a quick. Look at this. I paid $20 for this. They told me it was in mint condition. Well, so oh boy! How about the Phillies? Aren't they something? Mickey, what do you think?
Oh, they're playing great. I mean, other than Trey Turner, they're staying healthy. The starting pitching's off the charts. Bullpen's been solid. They're getting key performances from their bench. Cody Clemens is playing super well, and
man, how about
Sosa's
that?
playing good, and Stubbs is doing a good job behind the plate. They're clicking on all cylinders right now.
Mike Costanzo, you still live in the area,
Yes.
and I'm glad that you did get a chance to say hello to your mother and father, who are probably watching live stream
They are.
and or listening on WBCB 1490 AM and 107.3 FM. And we're so glad to have you. And maybe we invited you, Mr. and Mrs. Costanzo, and maybe we'll get
Calling
to
them out. I love it.
get together another time for dinner. We met them at Lauren, as you know, at Docks in Summers Point last year.
That's right.
I did a wedding down there. It's a great Bay Country Club in Summers Point. And then,
It's a great restaurant down there.
yeah. And now you're a sponsor of the Phillies.
Yeah.
Tell us about Briganti Wines and
Yeah.
your connection.
I mean, it's kind of funny, full circle, because with the winery, I go into a meeting to, pitch the wine to bring it into Citizens Bank Park. And I'm meeting with guys that were there when I got drafted. I reached out to John Brazier. He was the first guy I met. Very good friends now. Then I meet with Scott Nickel, Kevin Tedesco. All those guys were there when I was there. So I want to say I kind of had a leg up on the competition.
Yeah.
Just from, familiarity.
Familiarity.
Thank you. So face, name, I already knew how to, talk to them and being
Yeah.
with them. And, it was actually really awesome. They brought me on last year, and then this year was a full-on sponsorship. So
And you got a standing ovation when I had the privilege of introducing you at the What's New at the every year we introduce our new sponsors, our new concessions at Citizens Bank Park. And so Mike was there representing Briganti Wines.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the sole distributor for Briganti Wines in USA, are you?
we are, so the vineyard's in Italy, and then we import it here, and then we're in 8 states now. Thanks to partnering with the Phillies, it makes it a lot easier to market and everything. So it's been awesome, and I think I got a standing ovation because of the way you announced it, not because of me.
Hey, well, just imagine what they would have said if I knew
seriously.
all this about you.
It was awesome.
That was just off the top of the head.
It's a Class A organization, I'll tell you.
Oh,
what.
they
It's
are.
from
Well-
top to bottom.
Well, when you have ambassadors like Mickey Morandini,
Yeah.
Dickie Knowles,
I know.
and Gary Matthews, and Scott Palmer.
Milt.
Milt
yeah.
Thompson.
And
Milt's
you're
gonna
naming
be
everybody that I grew up watching, pretending I was in the, backyard.
All right,
And
that makes
now-
me feel
yeah, I
really
know.
old right there.
Yeah. When did you start rooting for Phillies baseball, Mike?
Well, when I was born, I had no choice.
Okay.
My parents brought me home from the hospital in a Phillies jacket.
Oh,
So
my
I grew up
God.
in Delaware County, and shout out to Delco.
Yeah.
They're diehard all 4 sports, and my parents love baseball. They brought me home in a Phillies jacket. I actually brought it to my press conference when I got drafted, which was more news than I wanted and attention than I wanted, but it was fun for them. And like I said, it's just the organization from top to bottom. Besides trading me, it's been great.
Well, yeah, but my goodness, we got Brad Lidge.
I know. I get the assist. I
You
tell
know,
everybody.
Can you imagine in 2008, Brad Lidge did not blow one
No,
save.
40 for 40.
He was
Yep.
perfect, regular season and postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, oh boy, that doesn't happen that often.
No. I don't think it's happened since then.
Well, anyway, we were sad to. I was sad to lose you.
Thank you,
Everybody.
thank you,
I
man.
wasn't the only one, but they looked at those Reading numbers and said, Mickey, we got somebody can do some good here. And Ed Wade, who's a sharp baseball man, I never thought Ed got the credit he deserved. Although Pat Gillick, who's such a gentleman, always said this was like Ed Wade's team.
Yeah,
he did.
Pat supplemented it, but he's such a gracious man.
He is.
So deserving as Pat Gillick of baseball's Hall of Fame.
doubt.
And,
No doubt.
of course, the 2008 World Series championship, a special moment. There's only been one other, 1980. And then, Mickey, your team in 1993, beating the Braves to win the NLCS, a game in which you played such a huge part. And what were your feelings, Mickey, on the field when that sellout crowd of 60-some thousand at Veterans Stadium was saluting your teammates and you as you came out to take a post-game bow?
Amazing. I mean, we were at the playoff games last year at CBP, and we know how loud it gets there. I talked about this a little bit last week. 60,000 fans in an enclosed ballpark at the Vet was. Yeah. I really believe it was louder than the playoff series the last few years, but it was incredible. We weren't supposed to be very good, and we were only out of first place one day the whole year, so it was a great run.
This team has a chance to make a run like that. This year's Phillies, 2024, best record in baseball, one of the best starts in Phillies history. I'm going to make my prediction, they're going to win 103. They're on pace for 115. We're not going to do that, I don't think. The only person there, Seattle was 116 one year. Isn't that right? 116.
I believe so, and they lost.
They
lost the first round.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a curse and a blessing.
We don't want to repeat that. Now, our producer Chris Ermer, he has his own show on WBCB, by the way. So this guy not only can operate the equipment, but he's pretty good in front of a mic as well. We'll be back with the next segment of tonight's Independence Blue Cross Bull Session here at Chickies and Pete's in Eagleville, Pennsylvania, after this message.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Relax and enjoy a cocktail from our seasonal cocktail menu. Try one of our delicious, perfectly blended options like strawberry lemonade. How about a raspberry sangria, blend of Pinot Grigio, raspberry liqueur, and bubbly lemon lime soda? Or maybe a Hendrick's Gimlet or a Patron Tropical Mojito is more your style. Enjoy one of these or many others from our Chicky and Pete's sensational seasonal cocktail selection. Only at Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
I SEPTA Philly.
I SEPTA Philly. I SEPTA Philly.
I take SEPTA so I never miss tip-off.
I do not have time to deal with traffic.
I don't have a car.
Do you know how expensive parking is?
I take the Broad Street line to all the games.
I ride the bus.
I ride the train and the subway.
I set my lineup when I ride.
I check Twitter, text my buddies.
I watch sports highlights or lowlights.
For real Philly fans, SEPTA is the hometown way to go. Ride with us at iSEPTAPhilly.com.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session presented by SEPTA. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Mickey Morandini.
Thank you, and welcome to Chickies and Pete's. Tonight we're on, we're in Eagleville, PA, 19403. I can tell you that much. On 675 Shenandoah Road. Let's see, what else did the GPS say? Anyway, we're glad to be with you. And Hey, Mickey, you and Peg have another big event following this. Where are you going to from
Going
here?
to Aaron Nola's charity bowling event at the Brooklyn Bowl, I think they call
Yes.
it. So, yeah, we're going to be headed there right after this, and it's a big charity for Aaron. And so we'll go throw that heavy bowling ball down the alley for a little bit.
Aaron Nola, another good start yesterday. Mickey, what do you think so far of the Phillies starting pitching?
Oh, it's been tremendous. I mean, we had Turnbull, take Walker's spot for about 3 or 4 starts. He was great. Obviously, Suarez has been unbelievable. I mean, they're talking Cy Young with him right now, and Wheeler's been consistent, and Aaron's pitching great. I mean, I knew they'd be a pretty good starting pitching staff. I didn't see this coming. I mean, they've been phenomenal. The key now is just to keep them healthy.
That's it.
Mike Costanzo, when you grew up in this area as a Phillies fan, when you first went to spring training in Clearwater, Florida, and had a chance to rub elbows with some of these guys, who impressed you the most? And was any of your heroes from your childhood still on the team?
So I played third base, so obviously Mike Schmidt. Got to meet him, had a really awesome conversation, helped me with some, different things at third base. Got to meet Mickey. I just love hearing his name being announced.
That's it, that, right?
Number 12,
thank you.
Second baseman, Mickey Morandini.
No, I love the way he played, and I don't want to make him feel old anymore. So,
thank you.
It's everybody that I grew up watching. They all go down, and it's a big family.
So how old were you in '93?
10.
10. All right.
Yeah. So
that's a good age
that's
for
old
watching
enough.
baseball.
That was. That's what I fell in love with the Macho Row.
Yeah.
You guys in '93. So
I wasn't part of that.
Yes, you were.
I was not a
you
Macho
were
Row
part
guy.
of my Macho Row.
I was 5'11", about 135. So I was not part of Macho Row.
You played like you were a lot bigger than that. Everybody became good friends with a couple guys down there, and kind of showed me the ropes. And minor league baseball's not for the faint of heart at that time, So met David Bell, who later coached me, and he was the manager that called me up to the big leagues with the Reds. So had a good relationship with him, still do. Just Dickie Knowles, he's an ambassador with Mickey. Still very friendly with him. John Brazier, like I said before, it's the first guy I met when I got drafted that day. So it's just become full circle. I see him at the ballpark all the time, and it's just a big family.
Well, these guys, our ambassadors are going to London, England for the Phillies-Mets 2-game series over there.
Tuck me in the suitcase, but I don't think I'm small enough for that.
But as a result, on June the 10th and June the 3rd, we have to find replacements for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now, next Monday, May 27th, we're going to, Memorial Day, we're going to be in Glassboro, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And Chris Widger, a member of the reserve catcher for the 2005 World Series champion Chicago White Sox, will be our guest. And Tommy Green will be our co-host next Monday. The following Monday, we have Larry Boa on. But Mickey Morandini, Gary Matthews, who's doing co-hosting most of our Monday afternoon shows at Chickies and Pete's. Gary is going with a private group.
Okay.
He's not part of the team group, so to speak. But he and Christina are going to be hosting a couple of events over there. It's a big thing. And speaking of that, did you see Chase Utley the other night?
I did not see him. I knew he was in the ballpark, but I didn't get a chance to see him, yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's been over there for about, 2.5 years now promoting baseball over there.
When you think of the top second baseman in Phillies history, Chase Utley's name probably is number one. Right up in the conversation, though, Mickey, well, think about it.
Yeah,
if you had to pick the top 5 second basemen in Phillies history, I got to believe you're in there. Chase is, I think he's number one. But you're in there.
I mean, Tony Taylor.
Tony Taylor.
Juan. Simwell's probably up there.
Juan, yeah, another favorite.
Manny Trio's going to be up there.
Yeah, there you are. You can stop right there.
Yeah.
And they're probably the top second baseman in Phillies history. And the statistics will bear it out. You are still among the highest fielding percentage leaders in Major League Baseball history for that position. And, of course, another fellow who didn't have as many years maybe to qualify as the top, Placido Polanco.
Sure.
And not only that, but he didn't play second all the time. He played third.
Too,
he actually came over in the Scott Rowland trade.
Right.
And speaking of Scott Rowland, what's your connection again, Mike, with Scott?
Scott got hurt in 2012 in Cincinnati, and then that's how I got my opportunity to get called up to the big leagues.
Wow.
He was actually really awesome.
Do you know, after your appearance tonight on this show, your parents are going to be signing autographs
That's right.
tomorrow? Because he's got, he's got half of South Philadelphia listening tonight, Mickey.
Right.
And you're Italian, and my wife's Italian, so, I hope
think
we
got
have
the whole
some
city at
appeal
this point
there,
listening.
So, anyway, we're so pleased with the way the Phillies are playing. Chris Armour, do you have a question for these guys? Not right now, but he's going to have to get a mic. But this guy does a great job. He has some great questions, too, and helps us. And you can see we have a nice crowd, and we're grateful to all of you who've come tonight. And Sean and Tara Steinbacher, I'd like to thank you for coming especially. You're my ride home tonight, and I miss. No, I'm not going to the bowling tournament. I can't go. Anyway, back to this year's Phillies team, and what's going on with them. You know something, Mike? The Phillies have won 100 or more games 3 times. 1976, 101. 1977, 101.
Wow.
And 2011, 102.
It's unbelievable.
I think this one's going to get 103. I just have a feeling. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything. Mickey does it because, when look what the Braves did last year. They won 104. Phillies knocked them off for the second year in a row in the NLCS.
Well, usually when it comes playoff time, it's the team that's going into that playoff series the hottest.
Yeah.
And the Phillies always seem to play well going into the playoffs. But, they've taken a little bit of criticism that they've had a weak schedule so far. But if you look at all the National League teams, there's not very many good teams out there in the National League. I mean, you got the Braves and the Phillies, you got the Dodgers, and then maybe you can throw in Milwaukee and the Cubs because I think they're over 500. I think everybody else is under 500. So I'm assuming most teams have played a weak schedule. Yeah. So and you got to beat those teams when you play teams that are less than you. Yeah, you got to beat those teams. Yep. And in the past 2 years, we've struggled a little bit, with the Miamis and those types of teams. So we're just doing what we're supposed to do.
That's right.
What are your feelings about that, Mike, as far as postseason aspirations for this team, and how do you think it compares to some of the excellent Phillies teams that you grew up with?
I grew up watching, the 93 team, so I'm kind of spoiled. But this team has the same camaraderie, same clubhouse feel. I'm obviously not in the clubhouse, but same, brotherhood mentality, have each other's backs. If one guy's not stepping up, the next guy does, and it's fun to watch. It's really, love for baseball and all that with the team has been really cool.
Besides your mom and dad, I'll tell you somebody else that I think is watching tonight, the man for whom this radio show is named, Greg the Bull Luzinski. And Bull had hip replacement surgery, if you folks didn't know. But he was basically in and stayed overnight and came home the next day and is recuperating. And big fella, we all love you and hope you get better very soon. back with the second half of tonight's Independence Blue Cross Bull Session, presented by SEPTA, featuring Mickey Morandini and Mike Costanzo. We'll be back in a minute.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour, with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies medium tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. only at Chickies and Pete's.
SEPTA offers a variety of career opportunities. Our core business is transit, and with 5 modes of service, we rely on and need operators, engineers, and conductors. But it takes a host of other specialties, including mechanics, electricians, plumbers, masons, painters, carpenters, welders, and more to keep the system moving. As an employee, you will earn competitive compensation and great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription, and a pension. Visit jobs.septa.org to apply today. That's jobs.septa.org.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Hi, Paul Muller from Team Toyota of Langhorne. If you've been waiting to buy your next pre-owned vehicle due to surging used car prices, then we have some great news for you. With over 45 used cars under $20,000, we have something for every budget. Plus, with our MVP pricing guarantee, warranty forever, and free maintenance for 1 year, you can rest assured that you're getting a reliable used car at a great price. Visit us in Langhorne on Route 1 or shop online at teamlanghorne.com.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session presented by SEPTA. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Mickey Morandini.
Hey, I've got another surprise for you tonight. Hey, Mike, come back over here for a minute, will you please? Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Schmidt. Yeah, he is. His name is Mike Schmidt. He's not the Mike Schmidt, number 20 Hall of Famer, 548 career home. No, he's not that Mike Schmidt. He's independently wealthy, however, and was looking to meet somebody tonight. Looks like a table of beautiful women over here. So, Mike, you may have struck pay dirt this evening. All righty, back onto the Phils. Today is an off day, and the defending World Series champion Texas Rangers are in Mickey Tuesday, Wednesday nights at 6:40 and Thursday afternoon. Texas is off to a little bit. Are you guys following American League Baseball?
No, that's a bad league over there. I don't even follow good baseball in the National League.
Oh, boy. You know, there once upon a time, like in the 50s and 60s, it seemed like the National League won every one of those All-Star games. Of course, I think the National League, with the exception of the Phillies, was a little quicker to integrate than most of the American League teams. And I think it gave the National League an edge in talent that way. But the Phillies, while slow to get started, I see that display, Mike. I don't know if you and Lauren have seen it yet on the second level, on the Hall of Fame level, but there's a display there on the first base side of home plate of a salute to the pioneers in pinstripes, the players of color who've performed for the Phillies. And it's quite a large group now, and of course we're proud that two of them, Gary Matthews and Milt Thompson, host shows with us right here on WBCB. And speaking of WBCB, a shout out to Merle Reese, the great general manager, the great play-by-play voice of the Eagles, co-owner, along with Pat Leon of WBCB Radio, and they do really a good job promoting the show. And Chris Irmer not only is running audio, but he's taking video of us, Mickey and Mike. So anybody, any of your family or friends who didn't get a chance to listen this evening can go to the website www.wbcb1490.com, and the live stream video will be archived, as will just the audio, the broadcast. So if you hear about this show featuring Mickey Morandini and Mike Costanzo, tune in. And Mike, you and all the family members, and Lauren's family too, just go on there, because our signal range is somewhat limited to Bucks County, Montgomery County, Mercer County, and Burlington County in New Jersey. And they have great programming on there, but you'll be able to hear it. Awesome. And that's what I say. They archive it. They're really for small suburban radio station. Their programming favorably compares to a lot of the so-called bigger stations in the Philadelphia market. And I can tell you, we're very proud to be a part of the 1490 AM programming. So, who do you think, Mickey, in the end, is going to be the Phillies' principal rival in acquiring the National League Championship and representing the senior circuit in the World Series?
Well, it's probably Dodgers, I would assume. They're always so talented. They're not afraid to go out and spend some money like the Phillies. So, and the Braves. The Braves are really good. They've had some injuries early on here. They lost their best starter, which is a big blow for them. But they're young and talented. And so those two teams, it's going to come down probably to those three teams.
Chris Sale has been
he's been
plus
good
for the Braves. Mike, what are your feelings? And I know you're still a big fan.
I agree with Mickey. There's the three big teams in the National League, and I think whoever's hottest at the end of the season is the one that's going to go to the World Series. There's home field advantage at Citizens Bank Park's huge.
Yeah.
Mike Costanzo, how about the junior circuit? You were a part of the Baltimore Orioles organization for a couple of years. What's going to happen over there?
You know what? They kind of threw me for a curveball last year when they the first round of the playoffs. So they're young. They not great experience. I know they're going to build off of the experience they had last year, but the team you have here in Philly is experienced. Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, everybody, and a lot of the guys are back from last year. And pitching is key. Staying healthy the whole year and getting the same.
Mike Costanzo, if you'll please share with your parents watching and listening at home, along with the rest of our audience and this wonderful live audience, what was your most significant accomplishment as a baseball player?
I think getting drafted by the Phillies, being a hometown guy, and them taking me with their
top
first
pick.
Yeah, I think that was the best part for me and my family. Best experience, and then getting called up to the big leagues is very, very up there.
Mike, who were the other top baseball players in the Catholic League when you were there in the late 1900s and early 2000s?
Played against Chris Lubanski. He was picked very high out of Kennedy Kendrick. Ryan McMahon, Danny Ald, guys like that. It's about, I could probably name 100 of them, like on the Carpenter Cup team that you announced. Frank Galey. I played with Frank Galey. He played with the Orioles. He's actually recently retired. He pitched in Australia for, I think, the last 5 or 7 years. I don't know how his arm's still attached, but he's a year younger than I am.
And you have another Phillies connection with Lauren.
That's right.
So now, what did Lauren do, Mike, for the Phillies?
So Lauren worked in corporate partnerships, and then I met her at a wine tasting last year. So that's how we met.
Well, Mickey, how about you? You, like Mike, have a very beautiful representative in our listening audience tonight. Where did the two of you meet?
College. We both went to Indiana. So we met
Okay.
at college. Yep. Long time ago.
Well, tell us the circumstances here. You know, you don't get a chance to hear that
Well,
every day of the week.
I'm sure we were at a few parties together.
Just a few.
But I think when she first saw me, I was in a car, and she was good friends with somebody I knew, and she said, she actually said, "Who is that geek in that car?" That's what she called me.
Oh, I
a geek.
can't
Because I had
believe
this buzz cut, and like I said, I was 5'11", about 135 pounds. And then, you know, this geek asked her out one day, and she actually said yes. So, yeah. Yep.
You know, we're going
She
to
probably felt sorry for me when she
we're
said
going
yes.
to have you're going to have to bring Peg back.
Okay.
And we're going to have to give her a chance on the mic
to tell
and
a
I'm
story.
sure that she has a much more complimentary interpretation of that first look. She's over there.
She's hiding in the corner.
Smiling
She's hiding in
beautifully
the
and
corner.
nodding her head.
They're both
And
hiding.
Maybe we'll have to get Lauren to come on sometime
There you
too. You're a little bit out of reach of our stationary camera to see you, but believe me, folks, they're an eyeful, those two.
Thanks, Dan. That's a compliment. Thanks, Dan.
Well, it's meant to be.
No doubt.
I mean,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
First of all, the way I kind of do things is, my mother always taught me, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything. I've tried to abide by that.
I think you're doing good.
But I think when there's something nice, too many times, you know, you feel embarrassed or to say something kind to somebody, or they think you're brown-nosing or building them up. All right, why am this person complimenting? Is there an ulterior motive here?
Nothing.
Yeah. But it's nice for people to hear.
You call it how it is. I like it.
A kind thought, you know. And how are we doing over there, Chris? Time. I mean, do we need a break? Okay, we still have 2 minutes, and we talked about the Rangers coming in. We talked about the Dodgers a little bit, the Braves a little bit. Isn't it funny? The last 2 years, the Braves got off to this great start. They actually won the National League East by 14 games over the Phils last year, and I'm kind of hoping, Mickey, that the same thing doesn't happen in reverse this year with the Phils getting off to a great start and then losing our momentum going into the postseason.
I think what happens a lot is the really good teams have such a big lead going into the playoffs that they kind of coast in.
Yep.
They rest players, they rest their starters, and when they get to the playoffs, they're not quite as sharp as they should be, as opposed to teams that kind of have to fight their way in, where they're playing hard every day and things like that. So I think that's what happened the last 2 years. The Braves have coasted in, and we've had to, play our way in, and we've been on a roll, and we've been able to beat them.
What are your thoughts, Mike?
I think just to pitch off what Mickey said, the teams that are grinding at the end of the year seem to go farther, but I don't think the veterans on this team will let that happen. I just don't. I don't see it. They've been doing it for a while. And they have the experience, and coming to the ballpark, Citizens Bank Park in the playoffs is a different beast, and home field advantage is huge, and whoever's the healthiest and playing the best, I don't see them taking their foot off the gas.
We're going to take our foot off the gas right now as we take our last commercial break, and then we'll return with Mike Costanzo, Mickey Morandini, and me, Dan Baker, after this.
Hey, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Dive into our delectable seasonal seafood specials, including our Chickies and Pete's Sticky Lobster Tacos, succulent Brazilian tail meat in a spicy sauce, or try our Chicky and Pete's Shrimp Po' Boy, our signature fried shrimp, lettuce, roasted tomato, and a cherry pepper sauce, served on a fresh baguette. Plus, don't forget our Chicky and Pete's buy one, get one sweet and tasty snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday, only at Chickies and Pete's.
Bringing in top talent is as easy as 1, 2, key. SEPTA Key Advantage is a unique and valuable transit benefit program that gives your employees all-day, everyday access to the entire SEPTA system. That means your staff can get into the office, over to a meeting, and out for the night, seamlessly and affordably, all thanks to you. Learn how easy it is to customize a SEPTA Key Advantage program for your team at SEPTA.org/partner programs. That's SEPTA.org/partner programs.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Hi, Paul Muller from Team Toyota of Langhorne. If you've been waiting to buy your next pre-owned vehicle due to surging used car prices, then we have some great news for you. With over 45 used cars under $20,000, we have something for every budget. Plus, with our MVP pricing guarantee, warranty forever, and free maintenance for 1 year, you can rest assured that you're getting a reliable used car at a great price. Visit us in Langhorne on Route 1 or shop online at teamlanghorne.com.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session presented by SEPTA. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Mickey Morandini.
Mickey Morandini, Mike Costanzo, I'm Dan Baker. Mickey, last week we had such a good show with Terry Harmon that I forgot to ask you for the. Well, I didn't forget. I asked you, but then when we came back from commercial break, we went on to other subjects. Mickey, do you have an Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Phillies Player of the Week for this week?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. There's two players. One is Alec Boehm. I mean, he's been our most consistent player. He had 5 RBIs again yesterday. And Cody Clemens, who's come up and done a tremendous job. So I'm going to go with Cody Clemens just because, he's played second base. He's played some third. He's come in and pinch hit. And he's gotten some really big hits for this team, couple home runs. So I'm going to go Cody Clemens.
Why? That's a good choice, don't you think, folks?
That's my pick, too.
And
pinch hitting in the big leagues is no joke.
No, it's not easy.
Yeah, I'm looking over here at this group of women. And my wife is out with her girlfriends tonight, kind of a girls' night out. But I was going to invite them to get a picture with these two handsome Italian men here. They're not listening anymore, but listen, you're out for a good time.
That's
right. What the heck? So, do you believe it? I mean, we're past the quarter mark, Mickey. So it's not just, a start. We're into the season. There was a very interesting article in the Philadelphia Inquirer and Philadelphia Daily News today speculating about who the Phillies might acquire at the trade deadline. Did either of you happen to see it?
I did not.
I didn't see the article, but me and Mick were talking about if they should make moves and who they would do. But
I believe it was David Murphy. David is a tremendously gifted writer. And I want to get to Chris Irmer, who's got a question for you, too. But he was saying that Dave Dombrowski, like a Pat Gillick, is one of those GMs who wants to add when he's got a contender, just to increase their postseason chances. And they talked about a catcher with a little more offense. And Garrett Stubbs does a tremendous job. And he's such a good teammate and so positive. But he is hitting about 108, I think. So he identified that area as one piece that they might get somebody. Now, this is just maybe a rental player, just for the end of the year, Relief pitcher, we still don't have that. Is Jeff Hoffman the closer now? Is it Who's it, Mickey?
I think it's still by matchups. I mean, if lefties are coming up in the ninth, it'll be Alvarado. If righties are coming up, it'll be Hoffman. Occasionally, you might throw someone else in there if those guys need a break. But it's based on matchups.
No doubt.
Mike, have you been following Sir Anthony Dominguez? What do you think of his performances this year?
I think that's why they're looking for a closer. To your point, I don't think Garrett Stubbs is a staple in this clubhouse. And I don't think backup catcher, that's playing, how many more games is he going to play this year, is going to have that much of an impact like a closer would. But to be politically correct to answer your question, I've been watching it, and I would. That's the only position that isn't set in stone, pretty much, on the team.
David also talked about maybe a corner outfielder with a little pop, like a Mike Conforto, who's had real good success at Citizens Bank Park, primarily as a member of the Mets. When he played. Mark Canha is another one who has a very high on-base percentage. I think it's in the 370s or something. Once you're 400 or over, you're really something.
Really good, yeah.
And so, we'll see where they go. But in the meantime,
you don't really want to mess with what's going on right now,
Good.
And I think taking Stubbs out of the clubhouse environment would be
excellent point.
Kind of like a disaster, to say the least, just from a camaraderie standpoint.
It's funny. A guy that was your teammate and that I know you admire, Darren Dalton.
Yes.
Dave Dombrowski was the general manager of the Florida Marlins in 1997 when they won the World Series. And at the trade deadline, who did they trade for? Darren Dalton. Dave Dombrowski, we've had him as our guest on the air here, and he's told us that he never saw a player with the leadership ability of Darren Dalton. As late as he arrived with the Marlins that year, Mickey and Mike, he took over the clubhouse.
Instant presence.
And not only that, he contributed. Hitting-wise, he caught a few games.
But I would bet that Dave brought him in more for his leadership.
No doubt.
As opposed to
production,
because I think he had to play some first base, because by that time his knees were pretty shot catching-wise. But I guarantee if you ask Dave, he'd say, I brought him in because of his clubhouse presence.
All right, Chris Hermer, what do you have for us, brother?
Oh, thank you, Dan. When I first heard the Phillies were going to play in London, I thought, cheerio. Let's do it. Let's have some bangers and mash. But now I'm a little worried with the Phillies on such a roll. Any concerns, Mickey, about this trip undermining the groove that the Phillies are in? And what do you think about these special series in London in general? Seems a little, unnecessary for Major League Baseball. You want to expand the brand. Right. I appreciate all that stuff, but I don't want to mess with what's going on with the Phillies right now.
It's tougher on baseball teams than it is on football teams because we got to play every day. They can keep their same routine for the most part. Maybe they leave a day early or something like that. A lot of times I think when they come back from Europe, they get the bye week after that. So they have time to rest. Phillies don't have any time to rest. But it's only 2 games, and it's not that far of a trip. It's 7 hours. I mean, you go to the West Coast, it's 5.5 hours. So it's not too much farther. So a little bit of difference in the time change. Major League Baseball wants to expand their product. It's all about the money, right? It's all about the money. So I don't think it's going to affect this team. Like Mike has said all through the broadcast, it's a veteran team. They're going to know how to handle it. And I'm sure they're excited to go over there.
Yeah.
Anything else, Chris?
You looking forward? You going to Big Ben?
I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet. I have to talk to the boss over there and see
Big
what
Ben,
she wants to do.
Parliament.
I'm going to – actually, MLB's flying me over, the Alumni Association, and then I'll fly back with the Phillies employees. But we're going to do a lot of clinics with kids over there. I think we're going to a school and presenting a check to a school. So we're going to do some things over there.
This is a work trip for you.
What's that?
Grab a cup of tea.
Cup of tea.
Yeah,
we'll probably have a cup of tea over there.
Talking about playing overseas, Mike, what was it like playing for Team Italy?
That was actually one of the best experiences playing-wise. Never played over in Europe. We played in 2009. We played in Canada in the little pool play there, and then we played in Arizona in 2013, where we made it to the semifinals, which was awesome. But it's just a different environment. It's like the World Series in March, with the atmosphere and 60,000 people, and everybody saw Team USA a couple years ago. That our first introduction to Trey Turner, how Mr. USA, right, and how he helped them get to the finals. But the experience is amazing, and bringing baseball across the world's pretty cool. It's just the Phillies and having to travel and all that. It's tough in the middle of the season, especially when you're on a roll like this. But again, veteran guys, they're 5.5 hours and 7 hours on the planes the same way, and I think it's cool for the families to go see and have that experience. And I mean, if I was still playing, I would love it.
Great. Well, England, Italy, man, this is something.
Next stop, Italy.
There you go.
Yeah,
might be.
When our daughter Courtney studied abroad, in the fall semester of her junior year at Boston College, naturally, Mom and I had to go over and make sure everything was all right. And we spent about 2 weeks, and started in Rome and ended in Rome. But in the middle, we went to Florence, Firenze, and we went to Milan, and we went to Como, and there's still a lot of cities we haven't been to over there, but it's a beautiful country. And of course, Briganti Wines is located in which province?
It's in Abruzzo.
Abruzzo.
Yep. So it's on the Adriatic part, which is the East Coast, and that's where the vineyards are, and that's where we pull the grapes and import the wine here.
Well, listen, we're here at Chickies and Pete's this evening, and we're at the Audubon location. It's technically Eagleville, 19403. It's a great place to come. You can probably hear a lot of fun going on in the background, and terrific people out here. And of course, Pete Cherokee and our good friends at Chickies and Pete's always do such a wonderful job. They're so gracious hosts for us. We really appreciate it. Chris Hermer, I know we only have a minute left in tonight's show, but I want to thank you, as always, for the excellent job you do with the controls. And Chris, who's back at the station that we should thank?
Oh, we got Mike Warren back there. Thanks to Mike.
Okay, Mike Warren, thank you very much.
I'm dreaming of hitting a home run at the Coliseum. Like Davis Rufus.
That'd be great.
My goodness. Now, next Monday, folks, is Memorial Day, May 27th. We will be at Chickies and Pete's in Glassboro, New Jersey, and it's an early show. It's 4 to 5 next Monday because the Phillies play earlier. And, of course, the Phillies broadcasts are carried right here on WBCB, 1490 AM and 107.3 FM. Our guest, Tommy Green, is going to be our co-host next week, and our guest is going to be Chris Widger, who managed Mike Costanzo with the Camden River Sharks in 2015 after Mike tried a little bit of a comeback following back surgery.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Well,
Chris Widger is a good man. He's the best.
And then you guys have to tune in next week, or maybe even come over and visit.
We might just pop in.
All right. From Mike
right
Costanzo,
over the bridge.
From Mike Costanzo, Mickey Morandini, Lauren and Peg, Chris Hermer, I'm Dan Baker. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks for joining us.
1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM W297CL Levittown.